Why are you on this call, Greg? You know how to use the checklist, the Craigslist. You know how to use Craigslist. The crap sheet.
That was the biggest. Yeah, never mind. We're being recorded now. I'm not gonna say anything.
Alrighty, let's go through it. All right, we are recording. So, yep, just wanted to basically do a quick run through of the crap sheet. This is something I usually try and get started as early as possible in the cycle because it's just one of those finicky. I mentioned to you guys on the last course. It's finicky and takes a lot of time, and it's just a pain in the butt, but has to be done. So we'll start from scratch. So we have recently changed. I don't know if anyone you guys have seen it, but we have changed. Mr. Lawler has. I'll show you one of these fancy new obstacles. 6 foot wall now has punishment for obstacle failure, red headband, black headband, and all of these are different. They will change. Like, for example, 5 foot wall. Well, if we say yes to it should. If we say yes to stadium, that 30 should turn to 15. Yes, it is a stadium. Let's see if Mr. Lawler's work is amazing. Boom, 15 burpees. So that will automatically change based on the race that you do. So first thing that you'll do, you'll go to this template. Obviously, never use the template. File. I'm going to make a copy. I'll just call this. I'm going to delete it. So I'm going to keep it in here, but you would generally take it into your race folder, put it in the ROS documents. And I was telling Quentin Rodriguez, one thing I do, Jill, is inside the ROS folder, I just create like an RD docs, and it's my own little folder, and I just dump in this and weather plans and all the stuff that I'm working on. So let's just leave that here for now. Oh, let's do it. Okay, so this is our test. So, in a nutshell, very complex document in its own right. This is where everything comes from. This is where, I'm sure you guys have seen the zone leader cheat sheets. These, when they're filled out, you know, we put on the back of your zone maps.
Garfield, are you meaning to be sharing your screen?
I am sharing my screen. You can't see it?
No.
What the hell? So it's just me yapping away here doing things that no one can see. Okay, let me try again. I was thinking about the tab wrong. See if this works. How about that?
Beautiful.
Beautiful. In that case, let me go back and just quickly. So this is obviously your front page. This is the main meat and potatoes of the whole thing. Let me just cover what we just did. 6 foot walls. So now you can see the instructions for the volunteers have punishment for obstacle failure, red headband, black headband, and a little picture. So they know what red looks like and what black looks like. As far as I was just saying, I thought I was sharing, so apologies, but things like, let's move that, like 5 foot wall. When you select on the home page, when you select stadium race, yes, that will automatically, when it's all populated, that will go to, oh, that's not right. Where's the drop down? Bear with me. Great. Technologically failing already.
Cool. Also, go up to A8, the cell A8 where it says reference, and hover over it for a second.
Who? A what?
A8, where it says ref.
Oh, I haven't linked it. That's why. Dumbass. Yep. There you go. First thing you have to do is you have to link it. I'm wondering why it looked different to the last one, but there it is.
There you go.
All right. So it's the first thing you do. Thank you.
And you'll probably have to do that, I think, for almost every one that you create, right, Garfield?
Yeah.
You'll have to make sure that.
Nope, good info. So now you got that, and now that your drop downs will have everything, that basically will connect it. So We go back. So if we're looking at right now, I've said, yes, this is a stadium. So if we go back to 5-foot walls, the punishment should be 15 burpees for open. Penalty loop for. We will check this. If you see any discrepancies, anybody, let us know. But they should all see that says 15 because of the stadium thing. Get rid of that. No, it's not a stadium. And that should now, like any ape hang or whatever, should instantly go to 30 burpees. Perfect. Mr. Lawler did his magic. So,
Hey, Garfield, Craig, we're not doing penalty loops on stadiums, right?
Correct. No penalty loops on stadiums.
Yeah, the red headband still showed penalty loop when you did that, Garfield.
I see that. So, okay, well, there's one note that we need to look at.
It makes a difference. You don't have ape hanger anywhere near a stadium either.
Yeah, no, it's
We should, though. That would shock some people.
It shocked the venue too.
Penalty loops on stadium. All right. Get rid of that. Okay, so that we can fix. So, in a nutshell, you will generally have your Adobe map or you'll have your KMZ with all your obstacles. So, what you need to do, and really, it's up to you how you want to do it, in what order. I've actually done it in different ones, but I'm going to start out with this one. So, the race PO, let's say it's the Barnes' Jack race. Jacksonville, this mileage, I know we normally say don't touch the blue. Blue is formulas, but this is the case that you can. So you do, we'll just do the whole thing. Now, is that opening Google Earth? I know that sometimes my thing, it is. Okay, right. So let's just let's look at Vegas for now. So we'll look at our sprint, which is here. Kids Super Sprint. So let's have a look at the sprint. It's going to go to properties, measurements, 3.57 miles. So surprisingly, we go back and we get 3.57. Super. Let's just assume it says 10.2K. Oh no, it's all in miles, this thing, isn't it? All right, so we go 6.4. So the reason we put this in is because as you start putting your distances in for all the obstacles, if you go over, let's say that we say 10-foot wall on sprint, is, and I say, oh, it's at least 4 miles in, it's going to go red. The reason it went red is because how can it be 4 miles when the course is only 3.57? So that is kind of one of those, hey guys, something's not right. But what you're going to do is you're going to start dropping your obstacles in. You do your 6-foot walls. I'm just going to throw in randoms for now, just for tutorial's sake. 2 ape hangers. So we're getting an armor. So let's just say that this is at 1 mile. This is at 1.3 miles. Now, actually, just to go back, I know that we have touched on this, but I just want to make sure that you are tracking on exactly the easiest way to do that. We get rid of the property lines. Come here. Boop. So, and again, Quentin, you and I talked about it, but I think Julie, you're tracking as well, but you right-click over your course. Elevation profile is what you're going to hit. And then it's going to give you that arrow. And that arrow, as you can see, now is at 1.6, 1.7, and it'll just change. So if I need to know where, let's say, this obstacle up here is, I go all the way to it, and I click it, done. 2.14 miles. So then I'm going to go in, I'll put 2.14 miles. And the next one, same thing. You're just going to have this. Next obstacle, 2.43. 2.43. Okay, so now sometimes, and it might seem, well, why would I put it in here? You don't need to put it in here unless it changes. What I mean by that is, I don't think this course actually does it. I think this course is actually fairly true. Let me have a look. Basically, what can obviously will happen is you have your split off for the sprint, which would mean that certain obstacles on the sprint will be shorter. For example, let's say this one here. If this is the split, so as the super goes off this way, it's adding distance, which means that this obstacle on the super is going to be, let's say, 5 miles in. However, on the sprint, it's cutting across, so it can be shorter. So you need to get to your sprint, redo it, elevation profile, and then you see you got a much shorter. So here, this obstacle is at 1.63 on the sprint. Say we change that one right now just for interesting girls, 1.63. However, on the super, it could be at 5.43. Makes sense as to why that happens? Yep.
Jill has a question.
What's that?
Jill has,
Jill has her hand up.
Oh, sorry, I can't see hands. I'm looking at my screen.
That's no problem. Is it best to put the obstacles in order on this? Is there an advantage to that?
Yes, I put them. Yeah, put them in order. To be honest, you can actually sort the thing, but you are going to put in here obstacle numbers. So in theory, yeah, obstacle number 1, 2. But you can of course sort. You know, if you want to sort, you could sort by this, by this, by this, by this. But yeah, I do it in order that makes sense, and I put my water stations as I go along. So normally this would be like over walls, surprisingly, and then OU. Where was it? Over
unders.
Where's over unders?
Try typing in unders.
Oh, is there?
Maybe not. Yeah.
Okay, 2 things to note. It was on. Missing over under. Under over, whatever. Okay. So yeah, I would put them in order, go down, and then you need a water station, because it'll be a water station number 1. Boom. Okay. Does that make sense, Joe?
Yeah, yeah, it does. I just thought of something else though. When you were talking about the sprint mileage, so in your example where there's an obstacle after the super, because like I have a super sprint, you know, a Saturday, Sunday. Oh, forget it. I just answered my own question in my head. Forget it. Sorry.
Now you're getting it.
Each man a fish. Okay. So yeah, so now I don't have any zones on here, but as you're probably aware, you would have zone 1, zone 2. How much knowledge do you have on the zones other than working them? This is Jill and Quinn.
How many?
Your zone
Say that
knowledge,
again, I didn't
how
understand the
zones
question.
work, and what, yeah, how we use them, what we use them for, and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'll take whatever you can give me.
Okay.
Not a ton then, Garfield, by sounds.
Say again.
I think Jill's basically saying she doesn't have a ton of experience with zones, unless I'm mistaken, Jill.
I mean, just like I think Garfield was saying, just as a zone leader, I mean, I assume they're structured, you know, so that they're convenient to get to for each zone leader, and I don't know.
Yep.
It's a lot short of it.
So that process, basically, you'll sit with a piece of paper and a map, and you'll sit with your CM, and you'll thrash it out. Hey, how about this? Let's try that, and throw ideas around. And then you'll start to drop those zones onto your KMZ, thus zone 4, zone 5. There are some rules, rule of thumbs on the zones, like having zones that can close down and be packed away soon. So have that in your mind with your CM. We won't go into that now. That could be a different call. But so let's say this is Jack's right now, but here's our zones. So what we would make sure we did, let's just have a look at here. So let's say zone 3. Zone 3 we know has Atlas carry, Sandbag, Monkey Bars, and Water Station 1. So we go back to our, where's she out there? She is. So we have all these obstacles, and then we all, let's just say they're all zone 1 for want of whatever reason. So you put your zones in, and let's say armor is a weird spur that comes in from zone 5, 4, 3, whatever. So you need to get that in. Now, obstacles are going to go through. So if it is zone 2, 3, 4, and then armor might be like 22, depending on how it works. And again, this is all sortable. So really, it's totally, you can have these alphabetically, you can have them sorted by distance. Water station was also goes in the zone, hit 1. Right. So one of the things for a water station, I just put NA because there's no zone number for it. And you'll notice, guys, that certain things are starting to populate automatically. Now they're gray, just to confuse everyone. These, down. But these are the penalty loops. We just have to make sure. Now you see a penalty elite, penalty open. Any questions on just this section? Just getting the obstacles in and the mileage and the numbers and all that stuff.
Oh, looks good.
Okay. So it's tedious. You can have your Adobe map. You'll just put it all in and get it done. And then when you've sat with your CM, and he says, well, you know, zone 1, that's going to be Dario. Zone 2, it's going to be Mackie, Manzi, etc. And you'll notice as I do that, the zone leader starts auto-populating as well. So these gray cells, I know it's going against everything we tell you, which is don't touch the blue cells. Everything else is fine. This is completely backwards for some reason. So I should actually probably fix that. Anyway, so the zone leaders go in. You also want to put in their vehicles. So let's say zone 1, probably Pup Foot because he's running around. And then Mackie can have Pup first and then Pup 1. So the reason these are important is because they do all go into the zone leader cheat sheet, which is here. As you can see, it's starting to add what I put in. Dario, Pup Foot. He needs a minimum of 4 volunteers. He can take a maximum of 8. Number of bullhorns. You can put numbers in, but we don't really have many bullhorns left. But, you know, if there's any specific obstacles you think they have to, you know, hurt hoist because of people dropping it is always good. So if there's a couple, just use your brain on that one and allocate it to the obstacle you think needs it most. And as you see, Mackie, now here, again, I haven't given them any obstacles yet, but Mackie pops in 3, Manzi there. Now, let's just say over walls, 4-foot wall. Let's go and see how that's populating in the volunteer tab, because that's one of the main reasons we do this. Over walls. So now, obstacle number 1, which we put on the front tab. Zone 1, we put on the front tab, Dario. Radio channels are a given. That's what they do. And then mileage, sprint 1. Now, let me just show you something here as an example. Sprint 1, but for some reason on the Super, it's 2.23, like that, because of this weird spur or some horrible design thing that I did. And then now, if you notice up here, Sprint 1, Super 2.23. I think that is about that. Penalty loop is fine. 30 burpees, chest, yep. Any questions on just getting this information into here from this master tab?
And just for the record, where it gets a little tricky, like your sprint mileage, super mileage, beast mileage, those are all pretty self-explanatory because you can just kind of follow along on your route. The tricky part is when you start adding in that ultra mileage, because it's the mileage back to the start finish, and then you start adding in different increments, and it may not always be just like double that to that next spot again. So again, it just requires being a little creative when you start following your ultra lap, and then getting that spur when you start adding that spur in, and then adding your everything after the spur if the spur isn't on the second lap, if that makes sense. The spur kind of messes up your mileage, so you start to have to get a piece of pen and paper and start, or a calculator and adding mileages together to get your more accurate mileage to put in your ultra mileage column.
That's what I was going to say. It sounds like you have to do math.
Yeah, no, it's a good call.
Basic. And it's not Common Core math, so it's still simpler.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes when we used to do the 2 spurs, like each lap, like it's just a double, but yeah, when you do the one which is preferred, this makes it little. I do it in pieces, and like I said, bits of paper everywhere.
Shit, if me and Garfield can do it, it's easy.
Right? God. So let me have a look. So like I said, you click that to get there, you put it in. And again, the beast would be the same thing if you have a beast. Okay, so this is now 13 miles. The beast mileage on, let's just say overwalls, beast mileage is at mile 12. Might start to get a little cluttered in there. Oops. Stop it. There we go. Yep, there it is. So it gives you what you need. Now, if you have specific stuff, I had to do this on one of mine for the COVID stuff. But if you have something that you want to put in, you can go in and just kind of, just add something wherever you want. Just don't save it to the main template because this is yours. But really, that is the main thing about getting this done. There's only the cheat sheet. Obviously, this is very important. You can put a bunch of notes in here if you need any. But one thing I do, because obviously we have to try and make this fit on a page and look good. So the first thing I'll do, let's say we've got 5 zones, is I'll get rid of all of that by just hiding it. Hide rows, boom. Generally, I'll even make these lines a lot thinner. And when I'm doing it, I'll just select just that section. Control P, make sure I'm only printing selected cells, and then fit to page. Not ideal, but the margins there, I always do custom margins. You can actually, this, but you can literally drag these like that, and they will give you a little bit of extra height and stuff.
Even in the, like Garfield did, where he hid the zones that he's not using, in the zones you are using, so like those ones that are listed on the page, any of the lines that you're not using that aren't pre-populated with an obstacle and information, you can hide those lines in each of those zones as well. So again, it just kind of gives you more space.
There you go, like this. Good call, hide, boom. And it just makes it smaller. Now you have this section as well. This one, you don't need to worry about that, the race day vehicle, because we've already done it. I mean, it's handy. What I generally do is we'll fill this bit out, which again is one of the most fiddliest pain in the butts. And this is a me thing. Barnes might have a different way to do it, but what I would do is I would take this section, I would do my Control P thing, just the selected cells. I would make it a lot smaller. Anyway, then I would get myself a PDF of that, and I would literally I've in the past just dropped it on here, because you can drop pictures on top, and that way it's in the same page. So people have all of this information: sunrise, sunset, last heat, first heat, volunteers, and it's the zone leader has it right here. Because again, I don't use these notes very much. I don't really have much need to. I don't know about you, Barnes, if you're filled this out much, but yeah.
I was thinking that actually that notes section takes up a lot of space, so I never really see anything written in it. So that would be a good spot to put all that other information, which is pretty important.
Yeah, and you can, I mean, you can literally, let me just do a very, very, let's use it. Sometimes I'll just use like my snipping tool. I'll just grab it. Boop. And let's just save that. This is just one of my little mini hacks to save it in pictures, because it's just scrap right now. But what you can do is you can actually insert an image over cells, not in a cell, otherwise it'll open the cell up.
Oh,
If you do it
Yeah,
over,
okay.
do it over the top, boink, and then where is that? Oh. Ba-ba-ba-ba-bum, bink. And then you go in, you just make it a bit smaller. If you want it to fit the whole thing, just like that. You can also, where is it? One of these is a rotate. Huh. Come on. That was a rotate, one of these.
What if you right click?
Yeah,
I don't know.
sometimes.
Ah.
Yeah, it's weird. Normally there's a, oh, maybe it's because that cell is just on everything. Huh. Bear with me a second. Something, I'm missing something here, people.
Hmm.
Format, rotation. I don't think that's going to work. Unless that. No. I'll figure that one out. There's definitely a way to rotate this. I'm not sure why. There's usually a piece that goes on the top here for rotating. Interesting. But anyway, so you can put this on top, and then when you print, selected cells. You might not have actually selected any cells. Let's say we're selecting all of this. Control P. Selected cells. Hit the page. And there it is. There's your thing. So, I mean, well, like I say, you put that sideways and make it a little bit bigger, then people have an instant reference for all of that stuff.
I have a quick question about something that you said at the beginning.
Yep.
How about the linking where it was in the top left corner of this document? Yeah, on the master, where it says the A8. Yeah. Can you go over that? I think I was trying to open it up and I missed that part.
All right, no worries. So basically, when like this is the master right here. This is the original template. It's connected. Now, when I copied it, it was not. See, it says click to the master crap. So the master crap is basically where all of this data is. All of these drop downs.
Uh-huh.
In fact, I'll even show you just so. Master crap sheet. So the master crap sheet will not look anything like the. This is what it looks like. But this is all of the data that's in there. This is all the drop downs.
Okay.
Here's the menus. Is it a stadium race? Yes. How many burpees? This is where it all comes from.
Uh-huh.
Don't change this. Don't touch this really. But when you first make it, this will say ref, like Bart said. You have to click it.
And now it says Aru. Once you click in A9.
Yeah. Click
It'll
in
change.
9.
Okay.
And you'll get a box that pops up here that says request access and grant access. You click that and it says Aru, and suddenly everything is populated.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, so you basically just do what it says.
Yeah, no, but it's not. It's handy to know why and how. You know.
Uh-huh. Okay.
What it is you're actually doing, as opposed to just blindly doing that thing. You can put this stuff in. I do sometimes. I mean, construction manager, I'll fill it out, but I don't think this populates anything that I can think of. But more just for reference. So when this is done, you've got everything in. You've got all of your everything, all of your distances in. You've got all your zones done. I go through it with a fine comb after just to make sure, because I've done it, and both of you guys have been on build, so you probably had many the RDs. You suddenly be like, wait, hang on, this is in zone 2, not zone 3, and realize that it's just an oversight. It happens again. It's so much data going in, so double check everything. So the zone leader cheat sheet. I think you guys have got the plan there. What you need to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then of course this is when you're working with the with your VC, when you say, okay, we're gonna start putting, start doubling up. This is the document where you start drawing on it. Okay, so let's go unders and air bike, they can be next to each other. Water station 1 and ape hanger, and that's where you'll start consolidating your volunteers when you're low on the printouts that she has. Let me have a look here. There's also another bunch of good stuff like the start line speech. We put a bunch of blurb in here if you need any quick references on the speech. And I have a couple of templates, I'm sure Barnes has them, that I can share, just giving you general bullet points of the start line speech. Do make a point, I want to make sure that we're doing this, that I feel that the start line speeches should be done for both age group and elites, because the age group guys still have the red headbands. They're still following the new rules of that. So they need to know, probably more than anyone, to be honest, about penalty loops and all that kind of fun stuff. So I would highly recommend that you make sure when you do your speeches, you do any red headbands heats, period. So, Barnes, have I missed anything on this before we go into printing the whole thing out?
Nope, I think that's it. Yeah, like I said, just that ultra mileage, and then you just have to finagle it around a little bit when you print it, and you'll figure out what works best. And it changes every time depending on how much information you're adding. So, yeah, but it's simple. You'll figure it out, and you'll get a routine down with that. So that's no big deal.
Yeah. So, as far as printing it, obviously you're going to print out a gazillion volunteer cheat sheets. You've all seen them in the zone buckets. So I'm running very slowly today. I know that for a fact that there's an image in there. Come on. So go off these printing instructions. I'm not sure why. I'm not seeing the, let me try refreshing. Let me just have a look at the original. Okay. Interesting. So there were images in here. I just looked at it. Was it 2 days ago with Quentin? I just showed him this in the in Vegas. All right. So here's the most important thing you need to remember with printing: the actual instructions here, where it says select file, print. You know how to do that. So this is the important stuff. You're going to print a workbook, portrait, fit to page, and then narrow. So I'm just going to do it. So Control P, or however you like to do it. So right now it defaults to current sheet, which you don't want. And you don't want selected cells. You want the workbook. And then the workbook says, next one down says selection. You don't want all sheets because you don't need that. You don't need that. You do need the cheat sheet, but I would take that off because you're going to do that custom yourself and make sure it's perfect. You don't need the speech. You do have overwalls. That was one I was missing. We don't have 5 foot. We do have 6. We don't, blah, 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 all the way down. We don't have that. So keep the checks for everything you want to print, okay, for all your obstacles. All the way down, you get to the water stations. Obviously, we've got, say, 6 water stations, so you don't need 7, 8, 9. I'm going to touch on this one in a minute, the water station miles to next. To be honest, it's something I might push to get rid of. But for now, right now, we have all our obstacles. We don't have trenches. We don't have a swim. So now that's done. And now you want to go portrait. And you want to fit to page. And the best bet is to scroll through. It's going to be here to one of the there it is. And you'll see what it looks like. Let me just zoom out a bit. But so that's that. Remember, we did add a bit, and then margins go to narrow, and it makes it a bit bigger. So now those pages, that's your full page, and they should all default beautifully. So that really is it. Now, what you can do here, because let's say that you do all of this, you print it, and then you go, oh, crap, I have to print another set for someone else for whatever reason. Then you got to go all the way back in, go through all the sheets and do all this. Oh, fuck, it started again. Yeah. So what I do, the first time I do it, I'll go next. I will save as a PDF. And what it's done there, it's basically saved all of the information that I just put in about getting rid of this one and keeping that one. And now, anytime someone says, "Oh, I need a copy," or the SSM lost them or whatever, you just go, "Okay, no problem." You just open the PDF and it's ready to print. Otherwise, you just got to go back and start all the back and forth. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
Would you want to add that little tip, like in your directions here on the?
Oh, I should actually, yeah, because that's just one of my things. But yeah, and there it is. There's your.
Just as a tip. I like that.
Yeah.
And also for me, I've always done this since we started using the crap sheet, as I always print one copy for each race day. And that way the SSM already has 2 copies. And if it's super sprint, then I'll hand it to her. I'll go through and take out all the super obstacles on the second day. And that way I'm handing her sprint. So at the end of the night on Saturday night, when the buckets come back, she can easily and quickly go through and just boom, drop everything into the zone buckets with what's ready for the next day. And she's not worried about finding sheets or missing pages or printing something else late. That's just something I've always done. And
No, that's good. I mean, it helps the SSM. You know, they're always one of the last people to get out on race day because they're dealing with radios and all that shit or whatever it might be. So that is actually great info, Barnes. Printing pages. All right, yeah. So I'll put that in there. I'll just put a note. I won't do it right now. PDF tip. But honestly, that is about it. Like I say, the crap sheet is more just a pain in the ass than anything else, just getting all this data in. Now, something that I do, and it's not passing it off, although it is, but a lot of these, the Daniel Willets and back in the day, Jonathan Holcomb and that, they wanted to learn more about the process, and they might have had a race director in their head down the road or progression. If your guy has the bandwidth, depending on who your course manager is, have a word and say, look, would you be interested in helping work on the crap sheet? It's kind of very course related. And most of them will be like, if they're in a good place, like Richie did it for me. He's like, yeah, absolutely. Let me see how this works. You can kind of pass off, don't just trust it. Obviously you're going to double check it, triple check it, but you can ask your course managers to work with you on it. And that can actually take some of the stress off. Like Mary and George, because Abu Dhabi was just so freaking insane. Mary and George did the Abu Dhabi one for me, which was huge, to the point that Mary the next day was like pulling her hair out. She didn't realize how fiddly it was. And again, it's not complicated. It's just finding every single one of these bits of information on where it is and what zone it's in. But it's a good doc. It serves a good purpose. Anything I missed or any questions?
No, I think I'm good. That was really helpful.
All right. Barnes, do you know what you're doing now?
I think I've got it figured out.
Mr. Quinton, how you doing, mate? Make sense?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it all makes sense.
Beautiful. All righty. In that case, that was a short and sweet one. I'll create a little video of that, stick it in the YouTube channel, and then I will see you guys in a few minutes on the RD call.
Peace.
Peace and grace. Cheers.